This is Julio's Corner, my corner of the internet, where I talk about whatever is on my mind. I'll mostly talk about stuff I've watched, read, or listened to, but sometimes I may ramble on about the news or politics or in society at large. This episode is being recorded on Sunday, September 28th, 2025. And welcome back to the show. It's been about 2 weeks or so since my last recording. I've been distracted with some stuff and didn't have really anything to talk about. So I have some things I want to get off my chest right now or go over real quick. First things, of course, if we want to go into the news, we, of course, know, as always, Trump is doing something illegal. This time around, he is just completely... He's just going full force against the First Amendment, freedom of speech. He did that. One of the things he did, of course, which was in the news, was he was trying to cancel Jimmy Kimmel. He was using the head of the FCC, who was also part of the one of the co-founders or co-authors of Project 2025, which is what Trump is. That's Trump's playbook about, which is to slowly undermine the systems of government, the fabric of our society, and just completely create a hostile takeover, essentially, like getting his yes men in all the places of power and slowly undermining all the laws that govern our society. And so he has this guy who claims to be all about free speech and, letting people have the right to talk, and he was pressuring stations he was threatening them of taking away their licenses unless he follows suit, because Trump needs to be happy, and he can't have anyone making him look bad on TV, even though the president should not be free from criticism, because that's what the First Amendment is all about. We have a republic, a democracy. We're not about dictatorship, but Trump doesn't. That's what Trump wants. He wants to be a dictator. So for a moment in time, Jimmy Kimmel was suspended from ABC. His show was taken off. And of course, Trump and the head of FCC were bragging about it, that, we did it. And now we're going to go after other people like I think Jimmy Fallon they mentioned, and of course Seth Meyers. And so there has been a public outcry, thankfully. A lot of people were canceling their Disney subscriptions because ABC is a Disney-owned network. So a lot of Hulu subscriptions and Disney subscriptions and ESPN were canceled. So they were losing like close to billions of dollars. So Jimmy Kimmel came back, which of course is making Trump unhappy again, because that's not the result he wants. He wants to have his way. So he's trampling on the First Amendment. Another thing that they're doing is they're trying to take over TikTok, because they kept complaining about how, that's Chinese propaganda and blah, blah, blah. But now they're trying to get like Murdoch, Fox News and other right-wing billionaires to buy ownership of it or the licensing of it or whatever, and create an American version of TikTok. And Trump is flat out saying we need to change the algorithm to make it all MAGA, because free speech to him is whatever I want, not anyone else. Any disagreement, any opposing opinions are against my idea of what free speech is, which is my speech, not yours. So that's happening in the news. Other than that, I haven't really been following it because it's just too much, and I need a break for my own mental wellness. So for the most part, I've been just watching sports, the NFL, and things of that nature. But speaking of entertainment, one thing that I find disappointing is that there's this Saudi comedy festival called the Riyadh Comedy Festival. As Mark Maron has said in some podcasts regarding this festival, he's like, the Riyadh Comedy Festival, from the people who gave you 9/11, because, the Saudis are known for being involved with it. The Osama bin Laden's family are from that area, that country, and all the people involved, the pilots that crashed into the towers were Saudis. And not to mention their human rights violations with getting having slaves build up like Qatar and or things of that nature. I'm not even sure Qatar is in Saudi Arabia, so excuse my ignorance. But yeah, they use slave labor to build complexes and stuff in their area. So there's actually a list of comedians. Some I'm not too surprised that they're there because most of them they're pretty much right wing, or they're all about the money. They're able to put their conscience on the windowsill or on the back burner in pursuit of more money. So like Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle, Andrew Schultz, not at all surprised by them, especially with the whole transphobic um, path that Dave Chappelle was taking. Aziz Ansari, I guess because he's Muslim and he sees this as a Muslim country, so he's trying to, I guess, look at it from that angle or whatever. But yeah, as far as I know, he's morally, he's also like bottom line. He's able to put his moral morals on to the side in order to get a payday, especially because he had a problem with the Me Too movement. He's one of the unfortunate collateral damage people from the Me Too movement because some woman was complaining that she like had a weird date with him. He didn't sexually assault her. He didn't sexually harass her. He didn't do anything to her except he was just awkward, and it became a big to do, and he was found. Eventually he was his image wasn't completely cleaned or whatever. I mean, he suffered for it, but yeah, but it was eventually found out that he wasn't like a Louis C.K. He wasn't what's his name from New Line Cinema. He wasn't a sexual assaulter. Essentially, he wasn't violating any women's autonomy or being abusive to women in any way. He just had a weird date, and this woman tried to destroy his career for it, for just having an awkward date with a guy, which is stupid. So I can see why maybe he's like he's in a bitter moment in his life where he's like, screw it, like people, I need to get my money now where I can because I've been my career sort of took a dive. So this payday will make up for some of it, I guess. Andrew Santino, and Bobby Lee, the comedians from the Bad Friends podcast. I'm not too surprised by them because I remember not that long ago Bobby Lee was talking about how he went to Israel to help launder their name, their image in the face of what they're doing with Palestine and whatnot. And after the fact, he felt bad about it, but not when he was doing it. So him now all of a sudden like forgetting that all of a sudden to do something else, for the people who gave you 9/11 and all these other atrocities, and like complain about it maybe a couple of months down the road, he'll be like, oh yeah, I can't believe I did that after the fact. I'm not surprised. Bill Burr, that guy I'm surprised by. He is my favorite comic. I have to say was now because this him going to this festival really is disappointing. It caught me off guard, and especially because he's all about like he made fun of so there's two sides of it, right? Like he made fun of like how people will sell themselves to to launder images of like bad evil leaders and whatnot. But at the same time, he's also said there was a recent recording popping up on the internet in a podcast. Like the reason why he wouldn't go there is because he's afraid of like anything he says he'll go to jail or whatever. So he was afraid of the consequences of his actions. So there's two sides of that argument, but I'm going to go with the fact that he's always talking about like freedom of speech, like people's human rights and human dignity. and how the hypocrisy of people. He's all about like free Palestine, and like what Israel's doing is evil. Um, and yet here he is going to this other country that's also violating human rights and committing atrocities, and also was the architect, part of 9/11, and yet he doesn't seem to be okay. He doesn't seem to flinch about taking their blood money. So he shocked me. Yeah, Chris Stefano. Um, he kind of surprises me also because like he's friends with Stavros Halkias, who actually in one of his podcasts found out that he was going to the Riyadh Comedy Festival, and he lambasted him for that. Him and Mark Normand, who's in that same podcast, and some other people who are also going. Chris Tucker, whatever. He's probably political. Gabriel Iglesias, he comes off as apolitical and somewhat ignorant and not really thinking about it. He just wants that money. Hannibal Buress, I'm kind of surprised by. Jessica Kirsten, uh, I don't know her too well. I liked her act on and off, but not too disappointed by her. Um, Jimmy Carr, he's a British comic, and as far as I know, based on the few sound bites I've seen of him, he seemed to be sort of like a liberal. And but then again, maybe because of that, he's okay, taking that blood money. Joe Coy, he always seemed to be like you know, he'll sell to the highest bidder. Louis C.K., as I mentioned, with the sexual allegations and stuff, he seems morally ambiguous, so I'm not too surprised. Mark Normand, I just mentioned, Stavros lambasted him. Maz Jambroni, sort of on the same page with Aziz Ansari, I guess. I think he's Mid Eastern or South Asian, but also, he's about the payday. He's entrepreneurial, if you want to call it that. Nimesh Patel, I think he just recently dropped out because he felt like pressured by his fan base, and now he's bitching about it. He did like a TikTok, someone showed me, bitching about, I'm not going to do that, so now I'm going to do a bunch of tours to make up for the money I'm going to lose, the bag I'm going to lose, explaining why I changed my mind. So if you want to know why I changed my mind, come to my show and make up for my thing. Fuck that guy. Omi, I don't know. Pete Davidson, I'm a little surprised by. I mean, the guy is rich enough, but also his father died in 9/11. Like, that's something that he's always talked about most of his life, like how scarred he was by 9/11 because his father died in ground zero. His father was a fireman, and he went to ground zero to rescue people, and in doing so, he died. So 9/11 scarred him for life, apparently, and these are the folks that gave him 9/11 that essentially indirectly killed his father, uh, who went to ground zero because he was the first responder. But he's there. Russell Peters, as far as I know, he doesn't care. He just give me the bag and I'll turn a blind eye. Sam Morrill, that's the other guy that Stavros lambasted. So Sam Morrill, Chris Stefano, and Mark Norman were all in the same podcast. Sebastian Maniscalco, he's a right winger, so I'm not surprised by him. Tom Segura, right winger, I'm not surprised by him. Whitney Cummings, she's always willing to sell out. I'm not surprised by her. And Zarna Garg, don't know who that is. Um, oh yeah, Kevin Hart. Did I mention Kevin Hart in the beginning? Obviously, he's about the bag, so not surprised. So maybe Bill Burr, because he's good friends with Kevin Hart and Dave Chappelle. Maybe they somehow convinced him, and that's why he's there. But regardless, I'm disappointed in Bill Burr. Like Bill Burr, uh, Hannibal Buress, Jimmy Carr, a little bit, but the big one, the big disappointment for me, definitely is Bill Burr out of that lineup. There's plenty of more. Apparently there's gonna be 50 comics, so that's just a small sample that's already been booked for sure at the comedy festival. But apparently there's going to be a lot more. disappointing comics. As soon as I find out who they are, I am going to make it make a note not to ever support them again, because yeah, man, that's disappointing, because I expected better from them. So yeah, I expected more from those comics. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? Oh yeah, so I mentioned wrestling, WWE. Um, Last week they had one of their newest PLEs that they invented for ES. Well, I don't know if they invented it, but they brought it anew for their new partnership with ESPN. So their contract with Peacock recently expired. Just expired this September, and so they now have a contract with ESPN. So for anyone who wants to watch PLEs from WWE from now on, we'll have to get ESPN at a premium of like 30 something a month or whatever. So they increased the pricing. Well, not WWE directly, but of course that's what ESPN is charging for their streaming service. So instead of paying whatever it was, I think it was like $6 a month with Peacock, now you got to pay 30 something for ESPN, or you can do a bundle with Hulu and whatnot to get your access to ESPN WWE PLEs, or you can do the smart play, because international fans of WWE, like people from Canada or Europe or what have you, they get it all on Netflix. So the smart play would be, you can use a VPN and pretend you're in Canada or in Europe or what have you, and then you'll be able to get those PLEs on your Netflix subscription if you have Netflix, because that's where you get your Monday Night Raws. Or if you're international, you get both the Raws and the SmackDown. So there's that going on. But anyways, back to my point. So I saw WrestlePalooza, and it was as an example, ESPN, who this was their first PLE with their partnership with WWE. This is their first PLE. It was hyped up to be as good as it was going to be. The starting of like amazing PLEs from this point on. This is going to be like the bar was going to be set with this one, so to speak. And ESPN, they gave it a C rating because it wasn't great. It was somewhat disappointing. Fans agreed. Just about everyone, including myself, was not happy with that with that PLE, that with WrestlePalooza. And on top of that, now you also expect to charge the amount of money that you're charging. So anyways, I've since then seen the Monday Night Raw after the fact, and I've seen some highlights of SmackDown, because SmackDown has been bad for a while, so I haven't been watching that anymore. And I'm just not happy with where it's going, which is funny because, as I mentioned in previous episodes, I was thinking of leaving wrestling, quitting watching it again, and then they pulled me back in with Survivor Series in the summer, or sorry, not Survivor Series, SummerSlam. They pulled me back in with SummerSlam, but again, since SummerSlam, it's gone downhill with the writing again, and so the writing, on top of this ESPN deal, on top of just the next WrestleMania. Speaking of Saudi Arabia, TKO, the owners of WWE, made a deal with Saudi Arabia. Again, just another example of Saudi Arabia trying to launder their image with entertainment. They will be hosting the next WrestleMania. It's going to be in Saudi Arabia. So that right there is sort of leaving a bad taste in my mouth. The WrestlePalooza was bad. The writing is bad. This whole ESPN deal, charging more money, and of course, because it's going to Saudi Arabia, and the tickets just keep going up. I mean, not that I would ever buy tickets to to any wrestling event because I just can't afford any of them. But even for the hardcore fans that go to these shows, it's just the prices are just they're being outpriced, and that was so for all the faults that the previous owner of WWE, Vince McMahon, despite all his criminal behavior and whatnot. The one good thing you can give him for how he ran WWE is he always he saw WWE as a family product, as family entertainment, and so with that in mind, he would always keep the prices reasonable for families because that was his demographic. But TKO, which is, I mean, to me, it's sort of seeming like they're just a hedge fund company now because they're just buying up all these properties. They own UFC, they own WWE, they're trying to buy AAA, they're trying to buy TNA, which is another wrestling organization, and they don't care about that whole family values and family demographic nonsense. All they're thinking about is, well, we charge this amount of pricing for UFC fights. And WWE is not at that level yet. So we want to keep pushing up that price point. So WWE will be charging UFC prices, which it's just, I think, ridiculous because it's supposed to be a family affair, but families can't afford that. Like if you're paying $5,000 a ticket, like come on, for a show that's scripted, it's not even whatever. I all of that is just enough. I'm gonna stop watching wrestling again, and I'll just stick to the NFL and my other shows which have better writing if I want to, because I'm all about character driven stories anyway, and that was what drew me in the first place, was this whole bloodline story of WrestleMania 40, the bloodline and Cody trying to finish his story like that. That's what drew me in originally. That and of course the nostalgia factor of The Rock, which last year. With his antics, kind of ruined any nostalgia. All the nostalgia. What's the word? All the nostalgia capital he had has been burned with his antics. With the whole storyline with Cena, where Cena sold his soul, but that was never made clear because The Rock just stopped showing up, and then Taylor Scott helped him win and was it WrestleMania? Yeah, I think he helped him in WrestleMania, and it was just all bad, and so I'm done. So that's all the news and other stuff that I wanted to get out the way, and now for the main thing that I want to talk about, I guess, which is because that's another reason why I didn't record last week on top of not having much time. It's just I didn't know what to talk about. And the fact of the matter is, when I as I say in the beginning, my intro, whatever's on my mind. But on top of that, so the thing is, like, why do I podcast? It's a hobby for me, as I mentioned. I'm amateurish, obviously, because I don't have a script. I have some notes of ideas, and then I ramble on about them. I don't go by a script. I just for the most part it's off the cuff, but I do at least have a bulletin board of a list of things that I'm looking at to keep me on track somewhat. But yeah, I was always fascinated about like radio, which is why I got my satellite radio back in 2006 or whatnot. And then podcasting came to me or the idea, the notion that podcast existed came to me like in 07, 08. And then on and off, I would try to do a podcast and whatnot. And I just love the whole process, like talking into a mic, hearing the analog go through this whole distillation process of analog to digital into my ears, and then the whole editing process, and then just getting my ideas down in audio form, and then throwing it out into the ether. And it's sort of therapeutic, and especially now more than ever, being as isolated as I am, I'm just being an introvert, working overnight shifts. So the amount of human interaction I have is very minimal to none. So this is just my way of whatever thoughts I've had throughout the week. I spew them out and then put them out into the ether. Now, why do other people do podcasting besides the enjoyment of it? Well, obviously, people try to make money, and I did think about can I do this as a profession and whatnot. But the thing is, I suck at marketing. I'm not good at selling myself, and also um, because I don't know how to sell myself, and I don't know how to appeal to a general audience, or find a niche that narrow what I want to talk about to to a niche group of a group interest, so that I can like corner that market or whatever. Uh, I just don't have that incentive. I don't have that motivation to do so. Like at one point, I thought maybe I'll just do a TV and movie review podcast, or just K dramas or something to that effect, right? Because those are niche groups. Like people, there's a lot of movie reviews and TV review podcasts out there, and of course, there's also some about in talking about K dramas, and I've heard a few of them myself, so I know they exist. And of course, there was a time in my earlier incarnations of this podcast, I used to really be into tech. So I would do my own tech show as well. I would talk a little bit about the tech stuff that I'm interested in, some tech news that's going on, sort of following in the footsteps of the Twit network and what's it next? CNET. They had their own podcast too. Um, but but um but again, I don't always want to just focus on one thing every week. This week I'm talking about why I like podcasting. A couple weeks ago, I was talking about Wednesday, a show, and then before that, I was talking about Superman, a movie. So it's yeah. I just so I'm just I'm a niche of one myself because it's about whatever I want to talk about, what's on my mind. Um, Another way, if I wanted to market, which I suck at, would be to use social networks. A lot of podcasters they're on social networks, so they create a brand of personality or whatever, and use social networking to build themselves an audience and podcasts. But I loathe social networks. I hate them. I can't stand them. So outside of YouTube and Reddit, and I recently did sign up for Blue Sky, but I'm on there maybe once a week, once or twice a week. So I'm not even really using Blue Sky like that. So outside of Reddit and YouTube, I'm not into social networks. I actually did was thinking about maybe I'll use Threads because Blue Sky I don't see the appeal. It doesn't quite have the same feel that Twitter did for me in the early days of Twitter, way before Elon Musk bought it and made it the Nazi hellscape that it has become. Blue Sky doesn't really scratch that itch that Twitter used to, that I loved about Twitter. I did try Mastodon before, that doesn't do it either. So I was told Threads is really good, and I hate Meta. I'm not a Facebook fan. I only use WhatsApp when I need to because a lot of international folk and whatever, they like to use WhatsApp to communicate, and it's cross-platform. So I see the benefits of WhatsApp. So I was like, okay, fine. Let me look at Threads. But wait. In order to use Threads, you got to sign up for Instagram. So I signed up for Instagram, and I'm not really a photo person, and within I think at maybe 2 days, I don't even think I lasted a day. I said screw it, I can't, and I just killed the account. So I load social networks. Um, so so yeah, I'm not good at marketing myself. I don't like social networks, so I can't really push the podcast if I want to make this a business. I can't go that venue. So that leaves YouTube, right? So that's mainly why I record my show, which is if you can tell, by basically, especially by the whole an organized disorganized way that it is, it's definitely more suited for an audio format. But whatever. So I'm recording myself talking um, on a mic about whatever, and I hope that putting it on YouTube, maybe the algorithm will do whatever. But again, my show's just very super. It's just amateurish, and every every time I do this, I still question: is it really worth doing the YouTube thing? Because if you look at YouTube shows, right? Let's go. Let's talk tech, right? You have MBKHD, right? Marquez. It's so. I mean, obviously, this is a decade or so of mastering his craft. Like YouTube, to do a YouTube show, if you want to use YouTube as a platform to really build your brand, um, you really gotta cater it in a way. And MBKHD is a perfect uh, blueprint. I mean, there's also Mr. Beast, giving away money and whatnot, and doing game shows. That could be another way of garnering an audience, but he doesn't have a personality, right? No one really goes to Mr. Beast because of him. They just see what we can get, what I can get from him, and what's the spectacular thing that's going to happen on that channel. But MBKHD, you go to him because you want to hear his take on tech. You can see his enthusiasm. He obviously is really passionate about technology and the the current innovations that are happening, and he always and he's not ingenuine, he's not insincere about his takes. Like, he will tell you, uh like, with every iPhone iteration, there's very few changes to it, obviously, and he will flat out let you know about that. He that's why he's more of an Android user than an iPhone, because iPhones for him are boring, they're blah. Whereas Android, there's so many different phones out there doing different things. There's gaming phones, there's the Samsung phones, of course, OnePlus, giving you the most bang for your buck, and as a mid-tier phone, but it could be considered a premium phone, and so on. Like, you can see that. And then of course you have people who do reaction videos, and so again, they have niche markets. Like, they have a niche group that they stick to, and by sticking to a niche, the algorithm helps them. And of course they do the thumbnails and whatnot, and I do my best at thumbnailing. Um, but again, like, one moment I'm talking about Wednesday, the next I'm talking about wrestling. I may get inspired to talk about politics again one moment, but then I'll be tired of it, like I am right now, and I'll just talk about podcasting, or why I'm not going to watch wrestling anymore. These are all completely different groups. They're not. There's no. The only unifying thing in those interests is just it's me, because these are all my interests, which are varied. I'm eclectic that way. So yeah, I sometimes wonder if I if continuing to do YouTube is going to help me in that manner, because I don't do that, and I don't do I do my show semi-weekly now. I try to make it weekly, but in general, I'm irregular sometimes. Though that might change now that I took wrestling out of the equation. I probably will be more regular in doing weekly podcasts, because I won't be watching PLEs anymore, which would be the weekends, for the most part, would be the weekends that I'm not recording a podcast, because that eats up all my time that I would devote to podcasting. So so I mean, it would be nice if I could make money from podcasting, via donations. But my show is aimless, and I don't know. I really don't know what audience is out there for my show. And you know what? It doesn't matter. Like I said, the whole reason why I do it in the first place, it's therapeutic. It helps me get out whatever I need to get out, and so it helps me in that manner. And I mean, if someone were to donate dollars my way, that'd be great. But again, I don't care. I'm not spending any money making this. I mean, other than the money I've already spent on these on this microphone and my computer and what have you, which I've had for years now. And I recently did buy this. I mean, if you see me moving around and checking things, I do have a green screen thing going on because someone on Reddit did give me some critiques on the blandness of my show and asked me told me how to position my camera to get a better look. But I decided, you know what, let me get an actual green screen and so I can create this fantasy backdrop behind me to make it look better than just a black wall behind me, and just add some more visual aesthetics. But yeah, other than that, just like, I don't know, $40 green screen or whatever, and some $100 mics that I bought long ago when my financial situation was a lot better. Other than those expenses, I'm not spending any money on hosting, no monthly fees there or anything like that. So YouTube is free to upload, and my website is a free website, wordpress.com. So yeah, so I can continue doing this on a budget of free for the most part, because this is within my budget, and I get to get my thoughts out of my head and onto the next one. So yeah, so that's what this episode is going to be, which is going to be a whole lot of random rambling, and we will leave it at that. So that wraps up the show. If you are watching this on YouTube, as I said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, what have you, you can click on the link in the show notes to reach me. If you're feeling extra generous, though it doesn't matter, but if you are, you can click on the donate link in the show notes as well and send some dollars my way. This show is licensed under Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International License, which means you can share this episode, remix it, do whatever you want. Just say where you got it from. And as always, thank you for listening.